to acquire the data, to give the researchers that who will work on that project. So for funding, we need also to prepare a proposal. But the difference between the proposal in study and the proposal in funding is that in funding we need to add a section for budget. We need to tell the organization which will finance our project or pay the money for our project that our budget or the amount of money that we need is like this. Okay? And this amount of money is categorized in different categories. For example, for equipments we need, for example, $10,000. And for salaries for the people who will work in that project, for example, we give them $500 every month, and so on. So we have to do budget study for the project in order to apply for funding. This is the proposal for funding. But what we need for our study is the proposal for study. Sometimes some programs, they require you to prepare your proposal before you enter the study. So you will prepare an initial proposal study. It will be initial because you don't know yet what are the things that you are going to do. When you are already studying in the university or doing your master, then of course you will prepare a proposal for your master thesis or for your master dissertation or for your master research. This is what we mean by proposal documentation. So in our study, in this subject, we will understand how to write the proposal or document the proposal for master thesis.
Doctor, study general project or objective or problem?
Okay, we will show. These are the contents of the proposal. The contents, the elements of the proposal will contain introduction about the study, will contain the objective, problem statement, methodology, everything. We will show it step by step. Okay, first of all, the document needs special format or style. It is not free writing. And as I told you before this, every university or school has its own style, own format. So they give guide, book, or maybe document, they distribute to the students. This is our format or this is our style for you to write your thesis or to write your proposal. So all students should do the same format, should do the same style. Actually, these slides are from Delft University, Technical University of Delft, and I think this style or format is especially for Delft University. So it's okay if you want to do like them or do the same. They ask you to use the margin of the document MS Word margin, default margin. If you go to Microsoft Word, then you will find the margin from the left, margin from the right, margin from the top, and margin from the bottom.
What's the value? Value?
Value of the margin? It is just use the default. Default, Word default. When you open any document in Microsoft Word, then it will give you the default margin. Unless you are asked to use specific margin. For example, when I did my master and PhD in Malaysia at UTM, we have been asked to use 2.5, 2.5, 2.5, and 2.5 cm. This was our guide, our style when I did my study. But for you, you just use the default one. Okay, the font you can use Times New Roman with font size of 11. again, in my study, I used to use size of 12. Same 1 times New Roman, but we used to use 12 point size. But for you, you can use 11. Use only times New Roman. Don't use different fonts. Because this is academic writing.
The size of title.
Even the title. In the title, maybe you can make it bold. But the size stays the same. This is academic writing. Okay, it's not writing for presentation. It's not writing for something that you want to show. See how I can do design. It's not like this. It is just simple writing. So the focus will be on the writing itself, not on the format or style. Okay. Paragraph, single space. This is the space between the lines. Again, each university has its own style. When I wrote my thesis, even the master or PhD, we have asked to use 1.5 space between the lines. Why this one is needed? Because when you write to your supervisor or when you write your thesis for evaluation, you leave some spaces for the person who wants to write comments for you, in order to allow the examiner or the supervisor to comment something when you write. So you leave at least 1.5 space point. But for this one, it's mentioned only single space. This is between lines in each paragraph. But between paragraphs, if we have many paragraphs, between paragraphs it is double spaced. Means 2 lines. Not only single line, 2 lines. Okay?
These are 3 point lines.
Where?
Paragraph
This one?
spaces.
Single space. This is between lines in the same paragraph. But this one is between paragraphs. Okay, what should the proposal contains? What are the contents of the proposal? These are the full contents of chapter 1, which is the very important chapter in your research proposal, and also will be an important chapter for your thesis when you write your final thesis. First of all, you need to write an abstract about your study in general. And we will show you later what are the elements of abstract. I mean, what are the contents that abstract should contain, and how many words the abstract should be. How many words, what are the things that should be there in the abstract. And you need also to write the table of contents. After that, you write your chapter 1. Some universities, they call it project overview, or sometimes they call it research overview, or sometimes they call it just overview. This is the title of chapter 1. And sometimes chapter 1, they call it introduction. If they call it introduction, then the first section in this chapter will be overview. If the title is introduction, then this section will be overview. But if the title is overview of the chapter, then the first section is called introduction. Okay? And after the introduction, there is a background. One section is the background, and after the background, we write our problem statement. After that, we write our research aim, or research goal. Sometimes they call it goal.
Objective.
Aim or goal is the general aim, but the objectives after that. These are the research objectives. The aim is one thing in general. The objectives are divisions of the aim. In order to achieve the aim, we need to follow some objectives, some steps. Okay? This is the difference. The aim is the thing that we need to do in general. But the objectives are the specific tasks that we will do in order to achieve our aim. And after that, the research scope. Scope means the boundaries. Because everything in the life has its boundaries. And we said in the first lectures that we have time boundaries, we have cost, for example, in money boundaries, and we have only limited duration, because we are, as a students, maybe we are given only 1 year to do our thesis or to do our dissertation. So during 1 year, we need to put boundaries for the work, because if we just start the work and we don't specify any scope, then we will working forever. We cannot stop, because when we read anything, then we go to a different thing, and like this. But we have to put, the student should put the boundaries for his study in cooperation with his supervisor, of course. And after that, we write about research significance. Significance means, what is the benefits? Why should I do this research? What is the benefits of this research? What is the relation of this research with the society? What will this research contribute to the society? What is the thing that is unique, that is very important, that is interesting about my research in comparing with different or previous researches?
The same result. The same.
Not result. Just write one paragraph, say, of course in proposal we will just write expectations, because in proposal we do not do any experiments. We are just proposing. We are just suggesting. Proposal means suggestion. We are suggesting to do this work. So the significance will be something that we expect. We expect our project or our research do this and this and this. We expect our research is better than previous one in this and this. We expect our project contribute to the society interesting because of this and this. We just expect. Because we didn't do any experiment, we didn't do any implementation for our project yet. After that, when we finish everything, then maybe we can write something realistic. But in the proposal, we are just writing proposals. And after that, we put a summary of research methodology. What is the methodology that we should follow to do our research? Maybe it will be quantitative or qualitative based on our research title or our research topic. Of course, before everything, we have our title or topic. And after this, we have the organization of the report. We say what are the different contents of our report, our proposal report. For example, in chapter 1, we do this and this and this, and in chapter 2, we talk about this and this and this. This is what we call organization of the report. This is chapter 1. Chapter 2 should be literature review. You should review at least, for your proposal, at least 30 to 50 studies. This is just for your proposal. But after that, for your thesis or for your dissertation, not less than 100 studies. Okay? So in order to write your proposal, you need to do the literature review, to study what people did in this topic, in this cycle. What are people achieving? What have been done? What have been achieved? What are the evaluations that have been used in the literature? And what is still to be done? This is the gap. This is the thing that you are going to do. Why you should do this title? Why you should work in this title? Because people did this and this and this and this, but they didn't do this. Maybe this is a gap. Or maybe there are some studies that have been implemented for some different contexts, for different countries, for different people, category, but I want to do it for this specific situation because there are some variables that will influence, that will affect the implementation of this